J Moore, the very best reviews. Tell them none can contest, we gon'
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the show. I appreciate everybody for coming through. I'm going to talk about Godfather of Harlem, Season 3, Episode 4. Another excellent episode for the series. Everybody doing an amazing job, acting-wise. Definitely a dope episode. I'm going to talk about the episode a little bit, and then at the end, I'm going to give it a Moorescore, which is my rating system, and I'll rate what I think the episode was on a scale of 0 to 100, 1 to 10. All right. So, Godfather Harlem, as we all know, come on the Epics. And then drop my water top. There we go. It come on Epics, is now called MGM Plus. One of the best shows on TV. A lot of people are not watching it because they may not have Epics, or rather MGM Plus, and it's not marketed and advertised. But this is an excellent show. Top-notch acting. And this episode was dope. We see Bumpy is always able to outthink the competition, man. I like that. Man. Bumpy looked like he was in a jam dealing with Columbo and the crooked cops this episode. And as usual, Bump was able to outthink both of them. And it seems that it's gonna work out for him. Unfortunately for now, I wasn't able to get the pictures loaded up to go over some of this, but I'll try to go off of it some, best I can without the pictures. So, what's up, Nisi? So we see they still worried about this French connection. Everybody worried about getting this dope from the French connection, getting the doogie. The shipment of doogie is coming. And so we see at the end it finally come through. But it's about Columbo. He won control, and they saying, look, you can't make this happen without having control of the cops. Bumpy got control of the cops in that neighborhood. You ain't gonna be able to just cut him out the way you think. So we see Columbo master plan in the beginning then is, well, I'm gonna pay the cops and have them under my control, outpay them, take them away from Bump, and there I can pretty much take away control of the neighborhoods. So Bump, he what up, J Doe? Just started watching the episode, came through the support, and I did get notification this time. Well, that's good. At least the notifications is working. And you definitely gonna enjoy this episode. It's a fire episode. So that was his plan in the beginning, to outpay. That way he could control the neighborhoods and take over from Bump. And it worked. He outpaid. He took over. Bump. He got Bump's spot raided. The Geechee. He was just talking cash money. This is my place. They don't mess with it. Blues. Everybody, this is a raid. Anyone move, I pump one in your ass. Doosh. Hey, band, play me some music. Everybody going downtown on the 8 train. So he was pissed. They done came and shot up his club. It seemed like his wife always there with the dope little information. She really is his consigliere, so to speak. Unofficial. So Bump, after getting, more information from wifey, who is just so beautiful anyway. We see that he trying to figure out who those cops are that shot up his club. What's Columbo's angle? He trying to figure it out. We later see Stella. Man, she is something, ain't she? So she miserable. She end up talking with the feds. She about to set up Columbo so she can get out of town and get a witness protection. Ooh, excuses me. And for those that's watching on the replay, this is the first reaction. 1 a.m. It is what it is. But I still got it. So we see man, Stella, she was ready to snitch on Columbo and work with the feds. They said, which I think they was trying to ask too much. But it looked like it was gonna work actually, which was crazy to me. Need some water. My throat's sore. Anyway. Little Jenny Jen. Anyway, so she got the plan to get him to tell where the Doogie shipment is coming on tape for the feds, and she gonna get relocated. Hell, she want to go to France. She gonna be in France, so in Paris. So she got a plan set. She know what she about to do. She about to get him to spill the beans. So they had a fight earlier. She come back next time we see her at the office, sweet talking them and say, hey, I apologize. I apologize. He falls for it. She say, I'm going to make you some eggplant parmesan. Come on through the house. I got mama's recipe, baby. So, of course, he couldn't resist. He brought his ass on over. The Fed told him, hey, because she said, I'm supposed to get him to tell all this info. He said, hey, you get these dudes full of little dranky drink, they going to tell it all. So that was the plan. Savannah, what's up, Savannah? I ain't see you earlier. What's good? How you doing? What up, B? How you doing, B? Savannah, appreciate the super chat. Definitely. Well, I ain't see you early. I mean, yesterday, Friday. Hope everything all good with everybody. Hope you had a good birthday. And definitely appreciate the super chat. Spreading love. Definitely appreciate it. Let's see. We got say, hey, Uncle Jay, I want a shot of Henny or Patron you got in the back. Hey, I got you. Crack them open. I ain't even cracked it open. The Patron. That Patron, when I crack that Patron, is on. Anyway, we see that they end up getting them to go ahead and spill the beans. He end up getting a little dranky poo up in him, and This fool, she ended up asking him straight out after a couple conversations. She even told him that she the one that snitched on Pops, but they worked it out. And he like, I'm like, why would you say that? Then she says, literally, where is the date and time for the shipment and this and that? Like, as soon as she said that, I'm like, that stuff ain't about to work. And this fool told her. Then it made me think, because when she said that, he was like, what? And I thought maybe he was trying to pull a switcheroo and tell her some wrong info to see if she was really gonna snitch. But it turned out I think he really did tell the real info, because she ended up erasing the tape and feeling bad for him at the end. I think they're gonna fall in love. He was like, when you said that lonely stuff, I'm lonely too. I relate. I understand. Let's bump uglies with our loneliness, huh? Huh? How about it, huh? So it looked like my theory from the beginning of them falling in love is coming true, because they two lonely hearts stuck in a situation trying to make the most of it in the mob world. So I don't know. Breezy Rolex say, real talk, I don't know why you haven't been in my algorithm, but I just noticed it's been damn near 7 months since I tuned in. We got to get these views back up. Definitely. 7 months. Wow. That's a long time. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years straight. 6 years straight now. So 6 years is a long time. Long time. So I ain't stopped yet. So if anybody ain't hearing from it, you better come check it out, because chances are I'm still here. So come on through. Man, I hate that my pictures wasn't able to be loaded yet, but I just had to do it like this. Anyway, we see Brother Malcolm. Don't put no pork on my plate. They gave me bacon. They put some Italian sausage in this plate. Oh no, brother Malik. No. It's beef. Beef. Trust me, brother. Beef. Trust me, brother. Beef. That beef tasted a little sausagey. No. Beef. Oh, my friend. No beef, sausage. They didn't poison food, poison Malcolm X. They didn't want him to have his speech. He met with Che Guevara, the Cuban revolutionary, along with Fidel Castro, that took over Cuba. And that was pretty dope. I like the cinematography showing him and Castro meet. He got the food poisoning, and then I like how they showed her watching the speech on the television in black and white, and then the cinematography of it zooming in through the TV and then coming out. Boop, and it was in there really showing the real Malcolm. They kind of intertwined pieces of the real speech with the show. And I think they did a good job of blending real footage throughout this episode and throughout this season, because I don't remember them doing this in the previous 2 seasons, or I don't remember them using clips, throwbacks of real footage so often, But it seems like they've almost done it every episode at one point or another this season. But I like it. I like it. I think it adds more realism to the storytelling. It makes it feel real, as if we are watching the real story. And of course, it's no different than BMF in the sense that it's based off real people and things, but it's colored in too and changed. And you got to also keep in mind, maybe even more so than BMF, because those people in BMF are still alive and able to talk, whereas the people that's in this story are mostly dead, and it's just things you can read or old interviews or, you know, things of that nature. So you don't get as much of the intricacies of conversations and situations. You know, they have to make them up more. Um, so, you know, Bumpy was trying to figure out what was going on with the cops, and one of the cops, you know, Joe Colombo, Bumpy had a dirty cop. He told him, "Hey, all that money we made, and I, you know, put your kids through college. I got more money for you. See who's paying these people and what's going on." And Joe Colombo showed him in the trunk with a bullet in the head. So, you know, that damn cop got killed. It's kind of sad. But it is what it is, you know, dirty cops, and he trying to get control, and they fighting over the drug business. Then they showed in this episode, Harlem has a new police chief, and he's black, and he's actually trying to go by the book and do the right thing. But then we later find out, well, he kind of forced into the system. And you know what's crazy is that's the exact same thing going on today. And that's why you see whether a cop is black or white, the same problems exist, because it's not about black or white. It's about the color blue and the foundation of policing and how the institution of it is, and how they keep putting that on to the next person. Like I've said in a previous video, the only way I think police reform could happen is you have to build something completely brand new up from the ground, independent from what's out there now, and they could have nothing to do with them. I mean, you know, he said later that he was trying to change things, but if he didn't take the bribe, he wouldn't be able to change nothing, because none of the cops would trust him and listen to him. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know. So he ain't really have too much that he can really do in that regards. Savannah Rivers say, how is the new Malcolm doing? I think he's actually doing pretty good. I think he's doing a good job. And at first episode or two, I wasn't too sure, but he's definitely come along and he's doing a good job. And it was unfortunate that they tried to take him out from that speech. And we saw that the CIA, talking about they was the State Department, they came and told Bumpy's daughter, Betty, that when Malcolm wasn't there, that he shouldn't do that speech. I heard somebody tried to kill him before. Be ashamed if that happened again. Maybe he should stay at home. That's like what, a light threat, a light kidnapping, a light threat. So, you know, with that, I think you know, it's interesting to see in life a lot of the people that get targeted and assassinated are the people that are talking about peace and nonviolence. That's so weird. You know, when you look at that, that's right. I didn't crush the damn near 2 bottles already. But you know, when you look at it in life and throughout history, most people that's been assassinated are trying to do something positive, end the war, or you know, whether it's Lincoln or JFK or Martin or Malcolm, you know, Bobby Kennedy. It's always somebody trying to do something positive than a person that's more radical. I mean, I think I can't remember offhand, but I think Che was assassinated, Che Guevara. But Castro lived a long time and didn't die until his 80s. I believe it was his 80s. Yeah, so you never know, man. But I don't think Castro wouldn't say he was exactly, and Che was all trying to do so much positive. They may have had a positive idea in the beginning to maybe not be controlled or be a sellout city or country and be their own thing, maybe. But then when it gets into the intricacies of things, it gets a little more shady. And then when they look at what did happen and how Cuba lived in communism for 40 years, it didn't turn out too good for the people. And you could say a lot of things because that's a very detailed thing. And then he was talking to Malcolm about being a revolutionary. And he said that Castro called you a revolutionary, but I wouldn't, because you got a lot of power, but you only using words, and words ain't going to be enough. You're going to need to do more if you're really trying to make something happen. And from his point of view, I can understand where he was coming from, considering that they literally had to do an overthrow of the government in Cuba. And so he's probably on the mindset of, because he sold him something about 22 million African Americans in this country, and later in the speech and other things. So in Castro, see, that's what a lot of people, if they gotta I love history, although I've been forgetting some of the stuff that I have learned. But when you really look at it in a historical context, Castro, the Americans, they didn't want Malcolm X meeting with him, which I understand why they were scared looking at it from this point of view. They didn't want him meeting with Che and the Castro types because they literally overthrew the government and rose up and brought the people together and overthrew. And they afraid Malcolm X may get the people, black folks together, rise up and attack and overthrow the United States government. Now, of course, we know that's very extreme and would have never happened. And it wasn't enough black folks following Malcolm X to do something like that. It was a lot of people, more people followed Martin Luther King than Malcolm X. And I don't think if Martin Luther King said we're going to march on Washington and overthrow, pull a January 6th, I don't know if black folks would have did that or followed that. I don't think so. I don't think he could have. I don't know. But I think he had more of a support than Malcolm, although the nation and the Muslims were more radical, because he did say any means necessary, had taken pictures with guns and other things. So they were scared that he makes this speech and riles up all the black folks around the world in support of African Americans overthrowing America. But that's not the speech he made, and that's not what he was doing. But, you know, if that would have been something that he did, wow, that would have been something. But see, back then, because, you know, we all said, and when I say we, people of color mostly said that if that was people of color that did the January 6th, they would have all got shot. At least more than one person. So I believe that right now that would have happened. So in the 60s, oh man, they would have shot them without hesitation. Would have loved it. They would have loved to shoot all of them. So yeah, I don't think Malcolm would have had that because that's like a suicide mission. Savannah, you say when MLK started opposing Vietnam and asking for reparation, they plotted to assassinate him. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was one thing for the rights, which was important, but that was free. Now you're talking about money to repay, as in reparations. And now you're talking about what we're doing overseas and in the war and things. I mean, if he'd have lived long enough, who knows? He could have became president. Martin Luther King could have became president probably if he wasn't assassinated. And, you know, I look back on that and I think, wow, I didn't realize how young he was. Wasn't he only 39 years old? Only 39. He seems so much older and so mature. But anyway, um, you know, they didn't appreciate all of that. And now you in the foreign policy, which, you know, the military defense complex. So you ain't gonna like that. You telling them get out or do this or do that. They ain't gonna want to hear that, especially from a civilian. Um, hey, he made a lot of powerful enemies, to say the least. No telling what and who took him out. And that go the same for Malcolm and Martin. They read what they say, rattled a lot of cages, shook a lot of trees. So, how many of you all watching or on the replay or watching live think if Martin Luther King lived to be to old age, to be in his 80s at least, would he have became president in his lifetime at one point? I think he would have, actually. I think by the age of 60, he would have been president. I think so. I definitely think by the age of 60, he could have became president. But, you know, put an MLK 1 if you think he would have became president if he'd lived a long time. Put an MLK 2 if you think he would have never became president. The reason I think he would is because I remember in the 80s, Jesse Jackson ran for president and did pretty good. And Jesse didn't have none of the platform or support or none of the accomplishments achieved, none of the stuff that Martin did. And he actually, his whole name was started off of working with him and being a part of that. So I don't know. But anyway, Malcolm X, no. Now, he did make a change after this pilgrimage to Mecca, and he became less aggressive, and he became more accepting in things of a lot of different things, but he didn't live too much longer after that. So, you know, it is what it is. You say Savannah River says one of the bloggers said some mean things about MLK. Yeah, well, I got a video I was working on about MLK. It's not about some mean things, but it was about some things that people didn't know about. So But I need to go ahead and do that and finish that video because it's just interesting. But it's not to diss, just to inform. Anyway, one thing I was thinking would happen, but I'm kind of glad it didn't because I've never heard of this. But of course, I do know I haven't heard of everything. But I thought they was going to show Bumpy's daughter and Malcolm start to build some type of relationship, maybe. Hey, maybe even bump uglies. But I'm glad that that has not happened yet because I never heard of it and thought of that. Now, it has been said that Martin did cheat, allegedly. But I've never heard allegedly that Malcolm cheated. So I wouldn't want to see him portrayed in that way if it wasn't true. If it's true, then it's true. You know, if they make a movie and they got Martin cheating, I wouldn't trip because allegedly it's true. I mean, I gotta say allegedly because I didn't see the proof. But you know, a little different. All right, so Bump, he kidnapped the cops at the end that shot up his club. He pulled out that razor, ready like, just beat it, beat it. Pulled out that straight razor. Bump, old school, man. I cut your ass. Try to rob me for 15 cents. Trying to make $1. Hey, I ain't gonna lie though, man. He whipped out that straight razor this episode to cut that cop. And when I looked at that razor, I said, I gotta get me one of those. Hey, I gotta get me one of those. That baby was nice. That's a nice little blade. And he whipped out the razor. And next thing you know, he gave him a little slice on his cheek. Got the info he needed, found out who was snitching. And all the cops on the payroll for the Colombo family. Next thing you know, is the resignation and 2 other badges of the officers. They resign. I said, well, you didn't hurt these men, did you? So what if I did? What you gonna do about it? Huh? So what if I did? Huh? They gave me the names of every officer on the take, including you. So now Bumpy, like he said, you work for me. Bump J. So, you know, Savannah say Box could have done the same thing with that straight razor. I know, right? There. Getting sliced. Whoop. So, yep. Bump. Another dope episode. Time for the Moorescore. All right. For those that are new, the Moorescore is my rating system. 4 simple categories, 25 points each. The 4 quarters add up to $1. Okay, you can always break it down and drop off a 0, get a score of 1 to 10. We got visual cinematography, excellent as always. I like how they showed the black and white, then blended into color, how they blended through the TV, you know, using archival footage with current footage and all that. I mean, they just did a great job. And I'm going to give this for this episode I'm gonna actually give it a 25. I really liked the way this looked. It was really good looking for this TV episode. Storyline and plot was really good. Nothing amazing, but I did like what was going on with Malcolm. So I'm gonna give it a 22. Special effects, makeup, costumes, it was very good. Nothing amazing or nothing to write home about, but as good as you would expect for a top-notch show. So I will give it a 20. And last but not least, entertainment fun factor. I would give this this was a really good episode. I don't know if it was even the best episode of this season. Um, it's a very good season. I think I'm gonna give this a 20. I'm gonna give it a 20. And again, for those that don't know, the Moorescore I come up with for this episode is a 87. If you're in the 70s, that's a C. 80s is a B, and 90s is an A, just like school. So that's a B plus, a strong B plus for this episode, almost a 9. If you want to rate this 87 on a scale of 1 to 10, you could say a 8.7, almost a 9. Always leave a 0.5 margin of discretion. So if somebody say it was a 9 or a 9.5, there's room to make that case. And if you say it wasn't as good and it was an 8 or so, I could see that case as well. You let me know what's your Moorescore in the comments and in the chat, and I'll be looking forward to seeing those comments. So far, I love this Godfather Harlem show. It's really good, very entertaining, excellent acting. It's really nothing negative to say about the show. And that's very hard to do. They try to keep it historically accurate and do the best they can with what they have, and it shows. And so overall, with the 3 seasons that's been created, I would give it about a between the 9 and the 8.5 for sure. Anywhere in between there, I'm good. Yeah, I could give it a 9, and anything in between, no lower than an 8.5 though. So it's between a B plus and an A. So with that being said, good episode. J Doe just finished. Said good episode. Yes, it was fire. Bump gonna find a way to outsmart him. He got the cops, including you, is in the bucket. So, it ain't about black cops and white cops. It's funny how this episode comes out right after we see black cops beat up Tyree Nichols and everybody saying this stuff. But this go to show it's all about the blue. And that's more dangerous than the black and white, actually, because it just keeps going all over the place, all over the whole country. So we'll see. But in the end, Bump. Too bad it ain't too many stand-up guys like Bump no more in this day. If it was a dope man in the neighborhood, he ain't wearing a 3-piece suit and trying to help out the neighborhood and do all the other stuff that Bump does. Even though he still sells drugs, he still tries to do something and give back something and look the part of being a legitimate businessman and all of that stuff. And people today don't even try, don't even look the part, don't give back, all of that stuff. So, I give him credit to that extent. But These people probably wouldn't need a free turkey if they didn't smoke it, thanks to him. Anyway, I'm up out of here, y'all. Dope episode. I give it an 87 on the Moorescore. Y'all let me know in the comment, hashtag Moorescore, and then put your rating. I'm up out of here. Y'all have a good night. Deuces. And I'll see you on the next one at 10 o'clock p.m. Sunday night, as well as 10 o'clock p.m. Monday night. And I'm out. Peace.